Hello everyone and welcome back to Lewis News. In today's video we're going to be talking more Madam Web. I don't really usually do videos like this, but this is going to be more of an explainer video as to what the web of life and destiny will be in Madam Web. Now the reason why I'm doing this on the news channel instead of making a video about it over on Lewis Films is because I feel like this includes a lot of news elements. It includes a lot of leaks and a lot of reports from our very reliable leakers in the community. A lot of stuff that has been actually recently confirmed in TV spots, and a lot of it has actually come true, so you can know to trust a lot of these leaks that I'm about to tell you today. But I'm going to explain the web of life and destiny and what it means for Madam Web. Now originally I wasn't going to make a video about this because I thought, well, I could just leave it till the movie comes out, but it is pretty big news, and for those people who are confused as to what the web of life destiny will be and maybe want some context going into the movie, then here is this video. Potential spoilers for the movie, although I don't think anything will be too major, but you have been warned just in case in advance. With that out of the way, let's get straight into this. So essentially, if you guys don't know, the web of life and destiny is this kind of godly-like connection between all the Spider-Men and women across the Spider-Verse from the comic books, and essentially it is controlled by the Master Weaver, and essentially he dictates who is worthy to be a Spider-Man or a holder of something called a spider totem. And of course, this means that controversially, Peter Parker is always destined to become Spider-Man in the 616 universe, which is one of the many downsides that people see to the story. Either way, this story is a thing in the comics, and it has been for a good part of 20 to 30 years now. So obviously we can't escape it, and they are going to be adapting this in Madam Web, and this is going to be the same thing that connects Julia Carpenter, Matty Franklin, Anya Corazon, and of course Cassandra Webb, all to each other throughout this film. If you guys remember, Cassandra even says in the trailer that they are all connected in some way. They just need to figure out why they are all connected. Well, it turns out they're all going to be connected through the web of life and destiny, but according to Cryptic HD Quality, a leaker on Twitter, we've covered him in the past, apparently in the original cut of the film it was meant to be called the Space Time Network. However, in the final cut of Madam Web, it is going to be referred to as the Web, which means they are going to be taking the life and destiny part out of the title, and it's officially going to be called the Web, and that is going to describe what connects all of our main four protagonists in this film. However, it's also revealed from V-Scooper, who's also a reliable leaker in the community as well, that apparently all of this will be revealed to her by Ezekiel Sims in the movie. Now, this shot in the trailer here, as you can see on screen right now, is probably the scene where he explains it to her, but as V-Scooper says himself, he says when Madam Web gains her powers, the ability to envision the future, she enters a realm very similar to this, in which he shows a picture on screen, which could be the Spider-Verse timelines in the form of webs. He then goes on to say Ezekiel Sims himself explains all of this to her, what she can do, why, and what he will do about it. Obviously, this is all going to link back to why Ezekiel Sims wants to kill the Spider-Women. Whether he's got an ulterior motive, or whether it's because Morlun is coming, we're going to have to wait and see when the movie actually comes out to see if Ezekiel Sims is actually a red herring or not. As we know from the comic books, Ezekiel Sims isn't actually really a villain. He's more of an anti-hero, someone who kind of helps Spider-Man and is more as a mentor for Peter Parker throughout the comic books. He isn't actually really a villain, but we're going to have to see what happens with that plot thread throughout the movie. But yeah, apparently this is going to be called the Web, and this is what Madam Web is going to use to basically see the future, and this is going to be how she inherits her powers. Now, how she's connected to the web is yet to be explained. However, we do know that this is going to be the explanation, as I said, to why all of the Spider-Women are connected with one another and why Madam Web is able to see the future. But I guess that begs the question then, what does this mean for the film overall? Well, we know that this movie was going to be dealing with time travel. We knew it was going to be dealing with the multiverse, but it potentially looks like that using the web, they are going to be leaning more in on the comic story than we originally thought, which I guess in some cases is good, but in other cases could also mean something maybe not so good at the same time. The reason as to why it's good is because this means potentially we are going to see more of the Spider-Verse. We're going to see more of the Spider-Verse as a whole. We know Across the Spider-Verse delved into the web of life and destiny and about how canon events are things that Spider-Men and women go through across the multiverse. But Miguel O'Hara only explained one part of the Spider-Verse and how it works, but Madam Web might go into more detail and explain to us how the whole thing works as a whole, like why the web actually exists. And I think that's really cool because then we'll have a concrete answer as to why Across the Spider-Verse works the way it does, why Madam Web and why Venom 2 crossing over into the MCU, why Tom Holland, Andrew Toby all work the way they do, and I think that will be super interesting. However, they run the risk of making it really messy, and this is where I think it may not be so good. If they don't exactly tie it to Across the Spider-Verse, if they don't think, well, we've got to think of the MCU, we've got to think of all these other characters, potentially it could go downhill very quickly. Because we've got to remember, all of these characters, despite them being maybe different studios or different series, different movies, different universes, they all share the same multiverse. Like Across the Spider-Verse shares a multiverse with Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man clearly, obviously shares a multiverse with the MCU, and obviously the MCU shares a multiverse with the Sonyverse because of the connection with Morbius and the Vulture. And at some point down the line, it's clear that the Madam Web universe will probably somehow be connected to the Sonyverse and the Venom movies. They all share the same multiverse, you know? There's connections between all of them, so Madam Web has got to get this right. Sony has to be talking between Phil Lord and Chris Miller, between S.J. Clarkson, and between Kevin Feige to really home in on what the Spider-Verse is. They need to figure out what it is, the way it works, and what it's going to be and how it's going to work, because if they don't, well, it's just going to cause more problems. With that being said, that is pretty much it for today's video. What do you think in the comment section down below? Are you interested to see how the web, or the web of life and destiny, whatever you want to call it, is going to work in Madam Web? I certainly am. I can't wait to see how it might potentially connect to Across the Spider-Verse and potentially explain more things in that movie and maybe answer some more of our questions. Leave a like on this video, subscribe for more Spider-Man news, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care and peace.